it's the fact that both have to be proven, and when the final say is so, whichever side goes first, it doesn't matter. It's a point that both are going to have to be proven as fact.
Right.
Regardless of age.
Since now yours precede, Christianity precedes Islam by 600 years.
Well, if I were debating with a Hindu, he would say he goes first.
Right. So then the Hindu ought to present his case.
It doesn't matter.
Right. So now, let's say that, since the Christian is foremost in his propagation activity, I feel it is his duty to approve his book to us, and we will debate that, and then we can debate about the Quran.
We have 15-minute speeches by each, and that limits it.
Do you want me to go ahead?
Doesn't matter. You're the one's going to have to approve.
Or unless you like to sit there.
No, I'm fine.
No, in other words, you lead the arguments.
No, he's going to lead.
What?
I'm going to.
It's quite.
Okay, as I look at the Bible, if someone had to ask me why I believe that it is the Word of God, the method that God has used in revealing it is the first and foremost thing that appeals to me. In John the 14th chapter, the 26th verse, I read these words: "But the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I said to you." In the Bible, the work of the Holy Spirit is that of revelation, of revealing the mind of God. In 1 Corinthians chapter 2, Paul shows that the Holy Spirit is qualified in this revelation because the Holy Spirit knows the mind of God intimately. Therefore the Holy Spirit is qualified to reveal the mind of God to man. Now in verse 26 of John 14, Jesus says, "The Helper," he speaks of the Holy Spirit as the Helper, "whom the Father will send in my name," he says, "he will teach you all things." So here we have men writing the Bible now. But as they write it, they are writing it under the guidance of an infallible guide. When I talk about an infallible guide, I mean a guide that is not subject to failure. And this guide is the Holy Spirit. So we've got a revelation now that comes from the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit was going to guide them into all, he says he will teach you all things. Regarding the things pertaining to our relationship to God, we have the promise here that we have a complete revelation. Not anything that is lacking, but that the Holy Spirit would teach all things. And what's more, we know that the apostles that Jesus selected were ordinary men, subject to memory lapses. There were many things that Jesus taught. John in this book says that he supposes that if all the things that Jesus did and taught were recorded, that the world wouldn't be able to contain the books. Now, there were many things that Jesus taught, and so the Holy Spirit now was going to bring back to their remembrance what he said to them. To me, this is an infallible guide, a guide that is not subject to failure. We can look at them and say, yes, they were subject to memory lapses, but they had a guide that would take their minds back and bring back to their remembrance all that Jesus taught unto them. In the 16th chapter of the same book, in verse 13 he says, "But when he, the Spirit of truth, comes, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak on his own initiative, but whatever he hears he will speak, and he will disclose to you what is to come." Now I want us to notice that here again the Spirit's work in revelation is brought to view. Jesus is speaking. He says, but when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. So I have a promise from Christ here that the Spirit was going to bring about a complete revelation. Nothing to be supplanted or replaced later on. Now we have mentioned that the Quran came later on. But if the Spirit guided the apostles and the Christians of the first century into all truth, then that truth was complete right back there. And he says he will guide you into all truth. He will not speak on his own initiative, speaking about the Spirit now, but whatever he hears he will speak. And he will disclose to you what is to come. Now as I look at these two verses, I see that the work of revelation, the work that the Spirit was involved in, involves past, present and future truth. He says, first of all, he will bring back to your remembrance, past tense. Okay, so all of the truth that Jesus taught, the Holy Spirit would bring back to the remembrance of those disciples in the first century as they undertook to write these things down and to record them. Then he says he will guide you into all truth, present tense. And he will disclose to you what is to come, future tense. Okay, so we have this promise of truth covering past, present and future. And notice that it is all truth. Now, as I look into the word all, it's all embracing. When I ask myself what is meant by all, well then it's all embracing. It lacks nothing. You see? Okay? So we have the promise here that this truth would be all embracing. It would lack in nothing. It was brought about by the Holy Spirit. And let's look over at 1 Corinthians chapter 2. He says regarding this revelation, now this is the Apostle Paul speaking, and he's writing to the Corinthian church. He says, for to us God revealed them through the Spirit. Speaking about these truths, these mysteries that were hidden aforetime. He says, for to us God revealed them through the Spirit. For the Spirit searches even the depths of God. For who among men knows the thoughts of a man, except the spirit of man which is in him? Even so the thoughts of God no one knows except the Spirit of God. You see how the Spirit qualifies. I don't know what's going on in your mind. I don't know what you are thinking. You don't know what I'm thinking. But we do know our own thoughts. And just as we know our own thoughts, the Spirit knows the thoughts of God and is qualified to reveal those thoughts to man. And only the Spirit could function in this realm, in this way. Now in verse 12 he says, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit who is from God, that we might know the things freely given to us by God. I think that's self-explanatory. Which things we also speak. Now this is how revelation came down to us. The apostles received it first hand under infallible guide, and Paul says they then spoke those things. And notice he says, not in words taught by human wisdom. Where did Paul receive his knowledge? He says, not in words taught by human wisdom, not from some seminary, not from some college or other, but he says, but in those taught by the Spirit. So yeah, Paul is laying claim to verbal inspiration. The Spirit was teaching him words, he says. Not merely giving him the thoughts, but teaching him words. Okay, notice as he goes on, he says, combining spiritual thoughts with spiritual words. You see, yet this is how the Spirit then revealed this truth to these chosen disciples in the beginning. He says, a natural man does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. And he cannot understand them, because they are spiritually appraised. But he who is spiritual appraises all things, yet he himself is appraised by no man.